Wake-up call number 4 is about unity. It's about how to deal with our enemies. We have a problem in our country. We've been divided into two sides. Half the country hates Trump, and the other half loves Trump. Then there's always the section that doesn't really care one way or the other. So let's look a little closer into how this came about. We have the mainstream media and other publications telling us that Trump is terrible, etc., etc. And there's another side of right-wing publications and networks that's telling us that Trump is pretty wonderful, etc., etc. But the truth probably is somewhere in the middle. I think we would all agree to that regard. But what happens is that people that follow the various sides get bad reputations. Their reputations are being destroyed in many cases. If you don't follow Trump, you're unpatriotic. You're a socialist. And if you follow Trump, you're certainly a deplorable, and you're probably irredeemable. Are those things true? Probably not. I kind of think that in the middle there, we're all just Americans. We're all just people trying to earn a living, raise a family, buy some stuff, and have a good time. We're all Americans. We're neighbors. We're friends. We're members of the same organizations of churches and city councils and those kinds of things. It's a shame that we're called names and lumped into different groups. Now, what happened is Trump made a statement not too long ago. He said that he won the 2020 election. My goodness. And people said, hey, he shouldn't say that. It's an attack on democracy. And it needs to be censored for saying that. That's what we'll do. We'll censor him. Keep him off of all venues that we possibly can. Starting with Twitter. Yeah, we'll censor him and his supporters. That's what we'll do. You gotta be careful when you start talking that way, because what you're really doing, unbeknownst to you, is that you're creating a monster. You're creating conflicts between two sides of America. You're creating enemies, and this manifests itself in riots and fights and angers and murders and all kinds of things. So the bottom line, it's not good to censor. And you know what? They found that out years and years ago. Back in 17th century England, this is a cartoon about a Roman Catholic bishop throwing a Protestant Bible into the fire and remanding the woman and the children that they should be following the rules. They shouldn't be reading these kinds of books. And the kids are saying, hey, I like that book. You're burning it. But so we have seen censorship. We as a people have seen censorship throughout history. In fact, in England, that's why many of the English came to America, because of that one reason. But if you look at it closer, the censorship in England looks a little like what it does right here in America right now. The censorship strongly affected 17th century writing, including authors and printers and publishers. Like books weren't being published and authors weren't being printed, and publishers some were going out of business because they couldn't print the books they wanted to print. Authors were forced to craft their words in cryptic fashion in order to outwit the licensors, which are today called fact checkers. So things like you can't use the word fraud. Oh my goodness. I thought that was a English word, but you can't say it. In some cases, you can't even say the word ballot. Oh no, that would be against democracy, wouldn't it? And many, many, many other things that you just can't say. Wow. Some would say that censorship led to the English Civil War, the execution of a king, and a bitter struggle between the crown and the parliament and the people. All of this for the sake of freedom. People just wanting sovereignty, liberty, representation, control of their own language, and the freedom from religion. Well, they say in order to reduce your enemies, you need to get to know them. And that's what unity is all about, coming together, make that puzzle a whole piece. But censorship creates conflicts and enemies. And that red puzzle piece that won't fit into the English community moved to North American colonies. All because of censorship that created conflicts and enemies. So listen, hate Trump, but for God's sake, love your country. Love America. We have to do that. If you're hanging on a cliff, a 2,000-foot cliff, and there's a MAGA guy reaching out to help you, to be your salvation, to get you off that cliff, the question is, what you going to do? What are you going to do? You look up and you see a MAGA hat, and you don't happen to be a MAGA supporter, and you say, I'm not going to grab your hand. No, you're not going to do that. You're going to see that hand as a way to save your life, and allow you to continue your life. You're going to grab a hold of it, and you're going to hold it tight. Well, guess what, folks? That's where our country is right now. That's our country, over the cliff, ready to fall. Now, you might not think it's that bad, but it is. In every aspect, from financial to spiritual to psychological, it's just bad. Our country is divided, and we're about ready to fall. And we're going to be destroyed if we don't get our act together. We have to, both sides, grab a hold of that country and come together. We've got to do that. We've got to come together. If we do that, we just might make it. But you got to love your neighbor. You do. You really do. Now, they could be a different religion, they could be a different race, they could be a different culture, they could be a Trump supporter. But they are your neighbor, and you got to love them. Because if you don't, the country is breaking right in half. But that kind of begs a question. Let's ask the question, who's doing this to us? Is there somebody doing it to us? The answer is, yeah, there sure are. There are people that don't want us to come together. There are people that want to see our country broken right down the middle. They would dearly love to see that as a result. Dearly. Well, who are they? Who are these people? We don't care. It does not matter. It does not matter. The only thing that we don't care who's doing this to us, probing us, getting us to hate the other guy, getting us to look down our noses at the other side. The only thing that's important here is that we know that somebody's doing it, trying to split America, trying to split us in part. That's the only thing that's important, and we're aware, because when we're aware, we can overlook the sources of hate, and we can unite. We can unite for the United States of America. We need you. God bless.